There's that. Chat monitor, got plenty of drink.
Oh boy. The journeys to the West are so unsubtle sometimes.
Excuse me.
There's an 800-mile wide river. Then let's see, in the lake. And suddenly there's an unseasonable snowfall after some shenanigans involving hoarding sacrifice to, And everybody's chilling out, drinking tea, and enjoying the picturesque view. A couple of people loudly start yelling about how the river's frozen over and safe to traverse. And Red being offensive for everyone text. Say, fellow traveler, did you hear the river is frozen and safe to traverse? I did. How convenient for any westward journeys.
Okay, setting up my tablet so I can keep an eye on the chat.
You guys could support, for instance, 4 people and a horse? Wait, what horse? I mean, of course. Isn't that horse technically a dragon?
Technically.
That's kind of unusual as technicalities go. Like, absolutely a dragon, transformed into a horse. I forget why. And the story regularly forgets that it's a dragon, and not just an ordinary horse.
Of course it
that
does.
one chapter where it turned back into dragon, like, saved everyone. Like, it gets a chapter where it got the juice on. That's all it gets.
That's not the right channel. Why don't I have a Santa hat?
That's a question I've asked Akainu.
Yeah. Like, you don't have many occasions to wear one, but there are... You do have a number of occasions to wear one.
Yeah.
May not get used frequently, but it will get used.
Like,
It's not like some other situational kind of stuff, like everything that you put in a junk drawer. It's like, oh, I could use this at some point.
Around 50-odd periods of several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
As cheap as they are.
I mean, one would assume. Although the cheap ones are probably very uncomfortable. I know ones that I've encountered in the past weren't like they were all kind of scratchy on the inside, but like the inside part that wouldn't necessarily be touching anything. But with my high forehead, it would definitely be itching me. Yes, with my 5 head.
For sufficiently high values of 4.
Yes.
Okay, programming jokes.
That seems more like a calculus joke than a programming joke.
Well, both really.
I suppose.
You ever try making a computer do calculus? It's it's annoying.
Oh, I forgot to set the going live message to he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. Jeez.
Merry Christmas!
Is that your gift to the internet?
My annual Christmas belch. That's far too stupid.
Christmas card. Anyway. Hello, Internet, and Merry Christmas. It is 2:06 p.m. on Friday, Christmas Day, December 25th, 2020. I am holding court. I'm. That is not how I usually do the intro, which has thrown me off. I am Mark Amsray, DJ Amstrack, and I am holding court here on the throne of games. There we go. My brain is just kind of spinning as it has most of this week. It's not great. Like it's not entirely unpleasant, but it is inconvenient.
Which axis does it fit?
Mostly this so like
So around the Z axis.
yeah, or the y-axis depending on how you're looking at it. That would never be the x-axis though.
For some reason, no. It's weird that sometimes the y-axis is not.
Well, I mean,
It feels like up and down should always be Z.
that's the thing. Sometimes you do have X and Y and Z. Sometimes you have X and Y and Z. You know,
I'm just gonna stop spinning around the t-axis because that's a pain in the arse.
which is like how that's how most computer graphics stuff thinks of it. That's the whole Z buffer thing. It's the layering of stuff through the Z or the depth axis, so it knows what order to render things,
Or doesn't at all.
or doesn't at all, like the PlayStation.
Or Kerbal Space Program. So I guess Unity? Yeah, Unity.
Yeah, Unity.
Unity has no idea how to handle that. Actually, it might. It's just possible that Unity programmers don't know how to tell it.
Or like that, whatever Dreamcast emulator the Grumps were using for whatever Sonic game that was.
Sonic Shuffle,
Yeah,
the worst party board game ever written.
yeah, with
The
like
carbuncle ate itself.
the eyes and teeth clipping through characters' faces, or more like rendering on top of their faces.
Oh, baby. Oh, Sonic. Oh, no. Oh, Knuckles. Oh, no. No. Oh, that was bad.
Mm-hmm.
That emulator was just confused.
It was some jank, but I imagine that
The fairy character looked pissed off.
I imagine that the Dreamcast would be rather difficult to make an emulator for, simply because from what I understand, well, yeah, NERBS is one of the causes, but it was difficult to develop for. Like, it was difficult to write software for, which is part of why it didn't do so well.
Nerd sounds like a 2-year-old with a face full of candy trying to say what kind of candy they've been eating.
NERBS. It stands for something, doesn't it, though?
Probably.
Something round body. I don't know.
Because I recall they were like curved polygons.
Yeah.
Curved polyhedron.
Yeah.
That were like with curves built in, like baked in curves.
Right.
It's
Which
a really impressive system, actually.
it is. It's what like professional animators have used for a long time or professional computer animators have used to make nice, smooth looking stuff that they then send off to a render farm and gets crunched out at a rate of like one frame every 2 hours, which you can't play at that frame rate. You can't play a game at that frame rate.
Hardly anything actually knows how to work with curves.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be like really baked into, I want to say, the Dreamcast OS, probably.
Yeah, I think it was lower level than that.
Baked into the hardware?
I think it was
like
baked.
Chip port?
I think it was baked into the hardware. I could be wrong though.
Ooh, that's some deep magic.
Yeah.
That's some shadow weed shit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's a large part of why the Dreamcast didn't do so well, because even though it was capable of looking better than any of its contemporaries, it could produce graphics at speed far better than the PlayStation 2 or the Xbox could.
It largely did so using strange and alien new magics that no one really knew how to integrate yet.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, difficult to develop for is similarly why a generation later, so many games that were cross-platform, the PS3 version was usually worse than the Xbox 360 version, because the Xbox 360 was so much easier to develop for, even though it was technically a weaker, the hardware was not as powerful.
PS3 used this cool new architecture that was also alien as balls.
Mm-hmm.
It was, didn't know how to use yet.
It was weird and alien, and also more rigid, like less flexible than the 360s. Like all of the PS3's different cores that it had, because it had so many different cores for like each individual little thing, those each also had their own banks of RAM. The Xbox 360 had a comparable amount of RAM, but it was all just core RAM that any process could access at any time.
Yeah, that's definitely a weird way to, like, today we use L3 and L4 cache.
Mm-hmm.
You don't use RAM like that. That's something I didn't realize Sony had done.
Yeah.
I knew people liked clustering PS3s for HPC purposes.
Yeah.
It was a lot cheaper than getting custom hardware.
Mm-hmm. but yeah, the PS3s, like each different task had its own specifically allotted resources that nothing else could use, which meant that it suffered on like open world games like Grand Theft Auto that did not give the 360 any problem, because all the resources were there for whatever the programmer wanted to use it for. Anyway, that's I've just been rambling for like 10 minutes now.
Actually, I believe we were just having a nerdy arts discussion about old game hardware.
Yeah, we were. But I should get to the game.
I know that it was probably perfectly possible to get even the PS3 to handle open world games. You just need like a well thought out, well written hypervisor like process to plan out and distribute the resources to the orcs so that you can preferably a little bit more people.
Yeah.
which is doable,
Mm-hmm.
but kind of a pain, especially if you're forced to do it as natural.
Yes.
Like that's gonna require a couple of questions on development analyst.
Mm-hmm.
Which can be difficult to get from publishers.
Yeah.
Like, no, you gotta publish it. But it's must-do.
Yeah.
You
So
gotta publish. You need a couple of must-see parts.
So typically what they did was that a whole lot of games did was they took the code base for the 360 version, but then scaled the assets back a little, and had it render at a lower resolution. Which made it look worse. Because it was easier to just scale it back to use as the core resources rather than re-engineer the whole thing to actually take advantage of the hardware. Overlay was probably more difficult. It wouldn't surprise me to learn, though, that in any of the games that did perform better on the PS3 than on the 360, it wouldn't surprise me to learn that that's what had happened. Like, it was developed first for the PS3 and then ported to the 360.
It's absolutely no surprise when low architect thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you want to make ports that work better than the original because, say the original was down on a massive deadline.
Yeah.
And the ported people got a chance to fix some obvious issues.
Yeah, that can happen with localizations as well. Like
the original devs just didn't have time.
Mm-hmm. Like, for example, with the European release of Final Fantasy X. Like, the version of FF10 that the US got was a revised version of what Japan got, and then what Europe got was a revised version of what we got, which that version was then re-released in Japan as FF10 International, which is considered the definitive version. Yes, it was the completed.
Whereas the release we had was like,
yeah, the
better than a tech demo, but
yeah, like if yeah, Japan got release candidate 1, we got release candidate 2, and Europe got the final version.
Europe finally got 1.0.
Or you could think of it like Japan got version 1.0, we got version 1.5, and Europe got version 2.
Your service pack 1 and service pack 2.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Windows jokes.
Okay, so yeah. Summary of what happened last time. Rabanvart published an article that was intended to promote Cassart. Our boss tried to have me dig up something on Ilya or Karen to stop him, before he published it, which, scheduled the time that it would be published, and I did not make that deadline because I could tell looking at it that the things that it was implying could be dirt seems to have entirely benign stuff behind it as well. Like, intends to quit his job and leave Bonton with recently acquired money. And there was something else about missing pharmaceuticals from his place of work, but it turned out that the money was actually the prize for winning the card game tournament. Meanwhile, it seemed like Karen was doing something illegal by by treating a deserter of the National Army, which, due to the security bill, that's one of the many things that someone receiving a dishonorable discharge gets cut off from. But it turns out that she was treating her through official channels anyway. For some reason, it was approved despite the fact that it shouldn't have been, but all of that was above board. And it wasn't until after that, like after the article was published, that I uncovered that Aaron and Ilya had been fooling around. So that made Raban pretty unhappy, and like honestly, I felt kind of dirty digging that up, but that was how I progressed the game, progressed the story. So that's what I did. Like, it's something that shouldn't matter. It's certainly not something illegal. But my boss, my overseer person, saw it as damage control, as it would distract from the article published, which honestly wasn't even all that bad. Like, he accused Cassard of some things, but you could tell by looking at his browser history that it was just stuff that he had found after a Google search, basically. Like, it was info that was out there already. He didn't do like the digging or anything. So it shouldn't have been as inflammatory a thing as it apparently was. So, anyway, let us proceed. Episode 3, Synthesis. You're back again. Just in time. We have need of you. Raban Vard nabbed us with that article on Cassard yesterday. It has gone viral, as we expected. The situation is heating up. Of course, President Cassard could not leave it be at that. Or could not leave it at that. He filed an extradition request this very morning for Vard. Prime Minister Blaine has shifted his schedule to fly out to Triflith and meet Cassard, convince him of letting go, or else all hell will break loose. Raban Vard might have taken a severe blow, but he is far from giving up. Instead, he fired shots. See for yourself. Removed contributor status from user Ilya, Daniel, and Shan. He's not letting anybody else write for the site now. Could it be that our actions caused a bit of trouble among the ranks of the People's Voice? Good. Investigators avert catastrophe at the Circle Mall. National Opinion, Be On Watch, Harrison O'Donnell. Movie release endangered by lawsuit against director. Nothing new there. Hey, wait, how's their discussion on the admin panel of People's Voice? Oh, that happened about half an hour, or it started about half an hour before he disabled him. Raban, I've had enough of this one-man show you call a collective. This article is contrary to everything the People's Voice stands for, at least in my mind. We're long past the point of no return. We're no longer a group of journalists with thoughtful and considered rhetoric. Instead, the site has become a mouthpiece for an egocentric maniac who declares war against governments. I will not put up with this anymore. I quit. You are such a coward. You always have been. Now that we finally see our influence growing, that our voice is being heard, that change is in the air, you just run off and quit? I should have known that when you signed on that you weren't built to stand this heat. Just another bag of air that chickens out whenever things start to get really interesting. Seriously, Raban? Insulting our staff? What kind of leader are you? What kind of journalist are you? You have long stopped uncovering the so-called truth. You have turned into a liar and puppeteer yourself. You are no better than Cassard or Blaine, or the others that you keep criticizing. Count me out, I'm done. I will not put up with this. Grow a backbone, you cowards. Don't worry, I'll take away your contributor status. I don't need you anyway. If you're not willing to go all the way with me, you are against me. You've been in my way for far too long already. War is inevitable. They are out to discredit me and bring down what the People's Voice stands for. We are stronger. Cassard may have demanded my extradition, but this war is not over. We will fight back against the traitors Cassard and Blaine, who own this manipulative government apparatus designed to keep us under control. The government of the nation have dragged my family into this conflict, and I will not let them get away with this. I'm still here, and so is the People's Voice, and we are loud. We have a strong group of supporters who are loyal and will help us get back on track. Know thyself, know thy enemy. We will fight back with a completely new People's Voice, resonating a kind of strength never before seen. The government of the nation has declared war on the People's Voice. They are trying to enslave their own people and my people by manipulating the media. Down with the government, down with Cassard and Blaine. War? Can you believe it? Who does this prick think he is? Agent, this has to end today. Vart will no longer undermine the peace in neither Parges nor the nation. If it's war he wants, we can accommodate him. We have our own arsenal, the likes of which Vart doesn't dare to dream about. When Orwell was created, the office requested a number of additional features beyond the day-to-day tasks of investigators. Some top-level government members objected. They had the obnoxious idea to integrate an ethical codex into Orwell, limiting its capabilities. Naturally, this would not do for us. We are the nation's wardens, and we won't be restricted by some arbitrary set of rules. So, we found a way, as we always do, to develop a branch of the Orwell project, the very piece of software you're using right now. Time to make use of its full potential. I am so sorry about what happened. I haven't the foggiest notion of who posted this bloody picture. It's not your fault. It was me who wanted that picture taken in the first place. God, that was so stupid. I'm really sorry. It's okay, Karen. We wanted this together. What are you up to now? You're not going home, are you? I need to. No, please don't. After this, I'm not sure what he will do. Ilya. What's the worst that can happen? You would never be violent to me. You know that. And you know that my offer still holds, don't you? Dewhurst is beautiful around this time of the year. Yes, I got that flyer you sent me. It is beautiful for sure, but I told you I can't just leave Bonton. I've got to go now. I'm not sure I'll be able to get back to you on here. Keep your head down. All right. Drop me a message in case anything goes wrong. Raban knows anyway. The best of luck to you. I can't believe we're doing this. Oh, wait, that's the old message. Right. Now, in that, there's a conflict. Behold the influencer, the centerpiece of our very own version of Orwell. Not even the government has a clue this thing exists. It can spread a story through social media channels efficiently and thoroughly, and I am putting you in charge of it. Oh, he's watching the thing. First, we need the thesis, a key statement which Raban made in his latest article. The government? Dragging his family into the conflict? They should have clearly opposed Raban's actions and nothing would have happened. Well, we will counteract this claim accordingly. Let me set that in the influencer. Well, here we go. Here's how this works. You can't simply make up and randomly spread stuff. Instead, I need you to get me palpable information which can be used to counter Raban's statement. From pairs of data chunks that create a certain context together, I can construct a narrative which can then be spread in the influencer. So, find me data chunks to construct a narrative from. With the thesis set in the influencer, new data chunks may be discovered in old documents or call transcripts. Take a look around. My, why would anyone be enraged about such a bagatelle? Does it hurt when your own reality proves to be fake, Vart? Be that as it may, we can surely utilize this circumstance for our own good. It's not strong enough on its own, though. Keep looking for something to reinforce this face with. Raban is becoming more and more unhinged, sensing betrayal around every corner. First he wants nothing to do with his wife any longer, now this. One could easily get the idea Raban Vart's family members aren't quite as important to him as he claims. Let me compose a narrative from what we've got. Agent, the first narrative is ready to be spread through the influencer. To do so, drag it to the slot in the influencer window and confirm. Using the influencer is extensive and takes about an hour of time to complete. We'll only get very limited chances of spreading narratives today. Make sure they count. However, I should probably warn you, what's out there is out there forever, and information can be a most devastating weapon. Now, if you do the honors... else that I can use. Still bad that I haven't done it before yet. I thought you were a bit out of touch in your articles, but terrorizing your family? Not cool, especially for someone claiming to speak in the name of the people. First information spread by your command alone. It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of truth, isn't it? I believe we pulled the right strings here. People have swallowed the bait, as you can see on Blabber. Had some good impact on his listener count. I have no doubt Raban won't let go so easily. I wouldn't be surprised to see an appropriate response from him soon. Perhaps you can find out what he is up to before he is actually publishing it, so we can prepare our next narrative beforehand. You know nothing about my private life. Your claims are wrong. You do not have the right to judge me. F you, Vard. You have crossed many lines since you started this ridiculous blog, but intimidating your own family is beyond it. I have never and would never be aggressive in any way towards my family. I do not owe you any explanation for anything. Roll back into the hole if you assume. You did the right thing, and this whole hashtag Save Karen and Ilya hype is bullshit. Infidelity is a sin, and you should not let those two get away without punishment. I would never do anything to harm my dear wife. F off. Destroy the media monsters. We will always fight back. In the dark caves of the endless information network they lurk, out to get any innocent victim standing in their way. As from now, I shall call them media monsters, the government apparatus designed to control our minds. These awful creatures who cannot be considered human are again trying to damage my family members in order to get to me. They cannot tear us apart. His family is loyal to him. Oh, please, I wonder if Raban believes himself, what he writes there. In any case, let's see if we can shake up that feeling of loyalty a bit and prove Raban wrong, for himself and for the public. Agent, get me pairs of data chunks from which I can construct narratives that we can spread. Pay attention to anything we might use to put Ilya or Karen's loyalty to him in doubt. Why didn't I have that before? most multicultural city with beautiful cafes and markets from all over the world. It's a beautiful place for young couples and singles to enjoy an adventurous, open-minded lifestyle. Oh, really? There are lots of beautiful spots in Dewhurst. The classical-style town hall, built in 1780, is definitely worth a visit. The most popular photo spot is the scenic Mountain of Dancing Putty. Putty. You know, those angel things. How can this be? Puto. Not like puta. Puto. The little things that get kind of mistakenly called cherubs so often. Dewhurst provides you with restaurants, cafes, and small diners with dishes from around the world. Don't forget to try our famous Dewhurst hot dogs.
What's the actual term? Like nightmares.
Because, yeah, I could easily thank you. Craft a narrative that would cast doubt on his family's loyalty using that. But that feels less true than using her statement that she can't leave London. Hey, lovely man, how are you today? Hey, not so good. What happened? I stood in the lunch line for 1.5 hours, and then there was nothing but bread left. No, I am not all fussy with food. I am not at all fussy with food, but I'm not having any lunch for the last 2 days. It stresses me out. The guy at the food handout told me to F off if I didn't like it. Oh my god, I have no idea how you stay so calm. It makes me furious even hearing about it. I would have exploded a long time ago. If the guy at the office canteen talks to me like that, I'd get him fired. You know you can't compare this place to an office canteen. I know, it's just... how is it even legal to treat people like that? Oh wait, this is Ravan saying this. Calm down, love. I don't mind people being assholes. They're just stressed out themselves. What really bugs me is that nobody really gives a shit about anyone. Everyone is just trying to get by without being hungry or tired day by day. Hang in there, darling. Never forget, you're a real hero. To the others and to me. I love how you always want to help. I love how you always want to help me, but please stop saying that. It makes me uncomfortable. You are far too modest. You should be proud of what you've done. Anyway, not much longer now. I can't wait. By the way, I have picked a location. I think we could have a beautiful wedding ceremony at Fountain City Park. I just wanted to keep it small and in the open air instead of renting a huge venue and making a big fuss about it. Plus, I think it'll make for some really nice, serene photos. Anything you want is fine for me. But, Karen, you are sure you want this, aren't you? I'm getting the feeling I've been rushing you into something that might not be good for you. Ravan, come on. You didn't rush me at all. It was my idea. Do you want this? If you want it, I am absolutely sure. I love you. Yes, I love you too. And let's do it. Very picturesque. If you can find a photo somewhere. Yeah, that's what I was hoping that would turn out. Psychological report. Final report. Patient name Ravon Bart. I'm Karen Levine, and I have been working for Vaughan Rehab as a clinical psychologist since February 2010. My specialist field is psychological trauma. Full details of my qualifications and project history will be provided separately by my employer, the Vaughan Rehab Council. Patient history. The patient is a Pargesian refugee whom I have been treating since February 2011. The patient was assigned to Outer Vaughan Reception Camp, where he was treated for symptoms of PTSD, traumatic events, and severe injury that caused the patient to lose his ability to walk in his home country, coupled with his recent immigration to the nation, were the major contributing factors. Therapy progression. The patient was initially very unresponsive and reclusive, even apathetic in therapy sessions. Occasionally, the patient would even switch to a rather aggressive tone when I pushed too much towards him, revealing details about his experiences and emotional state. This is probably due to the difficult conditions of living in the refugee encampment for an extensive amount of time, which is very much in conflict with the patient's personality valuing strong individuality. Around the summer of 2012, the patient went through a sudden change. He seems to become more outgoing, happier, and willing to talk more, though was still trying to keep conversations superficial. Throughout these sessions, the patient has been opening up more and more, and I feel like we have been making tremendous progress. In addition, the patient also seems to be much more appreciated by fellow camp residents. As of writing this, I am unsure whether to attribute the change to the effects of therapy or to external factors. Therapist's recommendation. Although the patient seems to have made a lot of progress during the past months, I strongly recommend to extend therapy and would like to keep him under close observation personally to ensure the progress achieved by the patient so far continues, and to determine the exact cause of the change in personality. I will therefore file a request for extending therapy by 6 months. Considering the trauma he endured when his school got bombed, this comes as no surprise. Ravon got better all of a sudden. Something important must have happened at that time. How awfully caring of her. Or maybe not. This could be useful to make Ravon doubt Karen's motivation in marrying him, but we need the right context first. Boulevard. I am Karen Levine and have been working for blah 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 blah. The patient immigrated to the nation in February 2011 as a Pargesian refugee after his brother was involved in a school bombing, losing his ability to walk. I have known and treated the patient since that time. While being very shy and unwilling to talk about details of his experiences for several weeks at the beginning of therapy, the patient has slowly become more outgoing and open after several sessions. His optimism and overall social and friendly character, as well as a tendency to look at the bright side of things, has helped him a lot to get through the psychological trauma of the hardships he and his brother faced back in Parges. As the patient slowly opened up, he especially emphasized his heroic escape from military service in Parges on multiple occasions. He also seems to become more and more interested in myself and my private life, making it difficult for me to maintain my professional distance as a therapist. I also talked to him about his brother and his increasingly reclusive behavior, urging Ilya to assist his disabled brother. The therapy is regarded as successful, and I am happy to dismiss my patient as largely recovered from his symptoms. However, I feel that it would be very important for him and his brother to leave the refugee camp as soon as possible in order to maintain their mental health. Sure, this can be changed. It's Cassandra. Just in one of the photos on Ilya's phone. Aaron, I've spent so much time lately thinking that things were becoming far too complicated. Yet now I realize that everything is actually becoming easier. Yvonne fired me from the people's voice, and it's like a weight has been lifted from my chest. I suddenly feel free, and I wonder why I didn't change things earlier. Not just with the blog, but with us. You said that you couldn't just leave your life behind, Karen. What kind of life are you living now? A life stuck inside a cage dictated by Raban and his whims. It's time to be true to yourself. Karen, I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I'm going to leave for Dewhurst soon. Please come with me. I finally want to be... unsent draft. Oh, well, what do we have here? If that isn't an affront to loyalty, I don't know what is. Your affair is one thing, but we need something to show Karen is going all in with Ilya now to disprove her loyalty as well. Hey dude, didn't find the chance to congratulate you yet. What an epic win, congrats. Thanks, it still seems surreal. Ilya Vard, winner of the HOB Major 2017. Sounds good to me. Yeah, sure does. Know what sounds even better? Dewhurst, that's what. What's up with that? I'm out of here, straight on my way to Dewhurst, very soon. Oh wow, we're gonna miss you, man. But I'm really happy for you, best of luck. Thanks, Damien. God, I'm so sick of this place. How do you keep up with this, Ilya? Every time I see you, it seems like nothing ever troubles you. I'm holding on to my dreams. You know, one day I'm getting out of here. I can feel it. I'll only do the stuff I want to then. I didn't think you'd be one to call it quits so easily. Nah, it's not exactly easy. Truth be told, I often dream about quitting, and not just quitting, but getting out and away from my brother, from everything and everyone. But I can't leave him. He needs me. He wants to get away. I'm feeling it. I can't imagine how. Just had a look at that Christmas party photo of you on my phone. You seem so carefree. Your parents are crazy rich people. Nothing should be worrying you. Surprising. I can make something out of this, but we need a little extra to dramatize the story more. Crazy rich assholes, more like. We argue about the course of the company constantly. Blue hair? Are you even thinking? You don't represent the values of the company with blue hair. It's always the effing company, all the time. I get it. My brother can be like that at times. Shit, that's ugly. I thought they were kinda nice. For the cameras only. You hate it that much, why don't you go then? How? It's what they call the golden cage. Life is nice and they feed you with silver spoons and shit, but there's no getting away. From family. You can't run from a name. Yeah, right. Cassie, what would you really like to do if you just walked your own path? Art? Definitely art. Always loved that. No, I know it sounds kind of dumb. It doesn't sound dumb to me. Keep dreaming. One day, perhaps. Yeah, if lightning strikes me or something. Butter, eggs, bacon, shoes.
Don't put that in the oven.
Ask Uncle Simus about Captain Ilya Janeway. Blame Karen cancels meeting for surprise visit in triplet. Old article discussion. I knew you liked our therapist. I also look forward to their sessions with Karen every week. Lucky you, the way she talks about you, she seems to fancy you. She always treats me like a child. Ilias, our situation in this camp is terrible, and we are being treated like animals. Yet all you can talk about is your dumb crush on a therapist. Karen fancies me. She doesn't like me one bit. She doesn't like you one bit. It's her job to be nice, and she gets paid for it. So snap out of your daydreams finally, will you? Do you realize we have no way to get out of this shithole and live a normal life anytime soon? We might rot here for years. We can't go back to Brava. But I also cannot stand this god's-forsaken camp much longer. It makes me sick to even think about it. We have to find a way to escape the refugee camp at any cost. Ravan, I know the situation right now is bleak, and you have been through a lot. But there are brighter times ahead. We might be here for a while, you're right, but we can try and make the best of it. I mean, it's not like people here are completely cruel. I'm sure we'll be allowed to leave the camp someday and live a normal life again. As for Karen, well, if you're not interested, mind if I take a shot? Maybe I just need to prove to her I'm not a child. I sometimes wish I could share your naive optimism, brother. Getting out at any cost. Yes, this could definitely be useful if backed with the right fact. Loyal despite everything that happened. She'd be better off leaving her husband behind. Ravanvart is doomed. He will go down. If Karen is still around at that time, so will she.
I didn't like her partner.
Nor do I.
The other guy was jingoistic idealistic. But see that thing? He's a person at heart.
Yeah.
Current one seems to be a freaking monster. Dude, I think he started a letter about becoming a devil fight against double topics. I think she's achieved that.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. All while having an affair with her brother-in-law. The happiest day of my life? I'm not sure. I was happy though. Was it a rushed decision? Maybe it was in hindsight. There were ups and downs. If our marriage has brought any good, Ravan and Ilya finally didn't have to endure that awful camp any longer. Permanent residency is granted upon marriage to a citizen, for the spouse as well as family members. Thinking about Raban wanting to escape by any means necessary, it sounds like he could have arranged a sham marriage. Let me get a bit creative here. We now possess one narrative we could potentially spread. However, we can only hit Raban after he has published his next article, and we'll need to bide our time for the moment. Use that time well to dig for more narratives. Give me everything that could be of use. Raban Guard published his article. You can strike now. Remember, you are still able to dig for more narratives, so you may want to do that before you spread anything. As soon as you are ready, spread the narrative that seems most promising to you in the influencer. You only get one chance here. I need to go record my life real quick. We'll be right back. That nearly came out no pending article giraffe. That's a weird image. Like it's an octopus with its tentacles on someone's head. But yeah, and maybe it's just the angle that they're drawn at, though. But like, instead of octopus arms, those look more like squid tentacles. At least the way that they terminate. They look fatter at the ends. like submitting a conflicting data chunk when I haven't found the other piece of it. I can't find anything else. Not yet, anyway. Maybe it's just not available to me yet. Maybe I need to go ahead and submit this narrative to the influencer, because there's not really any other options left. A network of social influencing thing.
Yes, I'm being a dork about the corporation.
Oh, I know. Fake marriage shows you are a complete fraud, especially since you claim that you plan to return to your home country anyway. This should be illegal. It is illegal. Neither my wife or I married for any other reason than it's none of your effing business, so back the F off, you fascist asshole. Happy with what you have achieved? Attacking Vart's marriage was a good idea. Very personal. I believe many of his followers took this to heart. Raban has taken a blow, but he's not going down yet. Speaking of which, let's check on what he is up to.
Believer, that's such an obvious sock.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's a game that looks fake.
The uprising against the government charges has begun. The angry crowd in front of the presidential palace in Triplet is growing. Raban is the one to thank for this, and #fake marriage is a fabricated story distracting you from the truth. We are going to win this media war. I knew it. Effing immigrants setting up a fake marriage in order to get into the country. Go back to your own goddamn country and stop annoying us with your pathetic blog. Oh, I want to punch you. My wife would never consider herself one of your losers like you make me call it. Raban, is it true that you did not marry out of love? Does this mean that you might be single again soon? #fake marriage. What the F is wrong with you? Differences about your marriage with Raban for his refugee status. Only now with the recent news could I realize that this guy must have forced you into a sham marriage. Please know that in case you need any assistance with your situation, I am always around for you. I don't like that you broke all contact with me. Get back to me. This refugee is the worst thing that ever happens to you. Oh my god, forced into marriage? Karen, is that true? Are you really that shameless that you would exploit some nonsense gossip about your daughter on the web to reinforce your own political fear-mongering? Is this preposterous, entering a sham marriage like that for money? I know Raban, he's a good man and wouldn't force her into anything.
Get out of here, lady.
Big conspiracy. The media are trying to distract you from the truth. Blaine and Passart are conspiring against us. Why is the focus of attention not on one of the most pressing and obvious issues? Falling back into old habits, Bart is trying to shift the attention to Blaine and Passart's meeting. It's a one-of-a-kind opportunity for him to back up his conspiracy theory. Reports say there are already people gathering in front of the presidential palace where the two are meeting, attempting to stall the talks in the name of the people's voice. We cannot let this claim go unchecked, or the situation there might escalate. Not on our watch. He's into conspiracies and hidden agendas. How about us playing the same? I'm certain you can get me enough information to let me construct our own little conspiracy theory. Keep in mind, we have to hit Rabanvard hard this time. Very hard. We must break his follower base. Is it not curious that during a national crisis like this, while Ponton is threatened by terrorists, the Prime Minister is leaving the country? Is it not weird that he is meeting Hassard, who is throwing him a military parade party supposedly due to a negotiation meeting? The answer is, this is bullshit. Negotiation is not what the national government wants, they want power. This is what you should really be worried about, you mindless idiots. So she is the daughter of Elizabeth Levine. Against this backdrop, it's quite remarkable Karen professionally counsels refugees. We will never stop standing up for our values. Although Elizabeth sadly was not elected as mayor, she won't stop to promote and uphold the values that we all hold dear. It is not yet clear whether Elizabeth will be involved in Hillberry politics in other ways, but one thing is certain, we will stay loud and proud and stand up for what we stated on this campaign website. The National Beholder, the nation's most important newspaper, held an exclusive interview with Mayor candidate Elizabeth Levine. In it, Mrs. Levine emphasizes once again the importance of traditional values. See the full interview with Beholder's Jeffrey Paxton here. Jeffrey Paxton interviews Elizabeth Levine, who is currently running for mayor in Hillberry, a city typically seen as an indicator for the trends of the next nationwide elections. It stands for culture, education, and traditional values. Mrs. Levine, you announced your independent candidacy for mayor of Hillberry a few weeks ago. What prompted you to run for office? It has been my heartfelt wish to make Hillberry a great place again. As it stands, Hillberry is one of the wealthiest communities in all of the nation, with one of the highest happiness ratings. Oh, it is. Well, what exactly are you going to improve then? Well, of course, if you just look at the raw numbers of average income and such, sure, Hillberry appears wealthy. The truth be told, Jeffrey, beneath the bright and shiny appearance is a deeply troubled and suffering city. So, what is it suffering from? Well, we have imported a crisis due to the policies of the previous government. When the nation allowed a huge influx of immigrants from Parges and other countries, Hillberry was a popular place for relocation. The party has since limited immigration nationwide, a great effort, I must say, but this doesn't cut it for Hillberry. We are citizens of the most iconic city in the nation's borders. We are a symbol of the nation's values that these immigrants don't respect. Our citizens don't feel secure in their own town anymore, so it is our job to defend these values. What do you plan on doing exactly? What can we expect from Mayor Levine? I will make sure this beautiful town stays absolutely safe. All the encampments in and around Hillberry will be abolished and cleared out, with the residents sent back to their countries where they belong. I will uphold the laws and rules that have made Hillberry great in the past. I will lower taxes and see to it that companies in Hillberry truly thrive. Well, it's very obvious that your campaign is primarily based on a hard line against immigrants. In that light, don't you think it's a bit peculiar that your own daughter is working as a professional counselor for those refugees you are trying to send back? My daughter Karen is a kind-hearted person who assists all different kinds of people with any kind of psychological problems from all over the world. Yes, there may be refugees among them, sure, because my daughter doesn't discriminate. In any case, you can rest assured that my daughter Karen stands firmly behind me, as does my whole family. But not only does your daughter specialize in refugee counseling, but she is also engaged to none other than Rabanvard, who is the author of a blog that is highly critical of the government. For sure you must be aware of that. These are nothing but vile rumors, pitiful lies, I assure you, simply made up to question my credibility, most likely by the very same person you just called out. You said it yourself, Rabanvard is critical of the nation and its government, and he won't stop at any falsehood. Did you know this impertinent person invited soldiers into a school? Into a school, which was then which then was attacked because of his actions. I bet this is news to you, Jeffrey. Yes, I've done my research. Have you done yours? My daughter is doing no such thing as marrying him. No such thing. Thanks for the interview, Mrs. Levine. By that, Bart may have drawn fire directly to the school. Why would he consider such a thing? How mindless can you get? He deserves to go down, and so he will, by our hand. With a mother like Elizabeth Levine, I cannot even imagine why. Too bad. If she would have been in contact with her mother, we might have used that against her. It seems that investigator you're paired with got the Bonton bombings perpetrator. I'm impressed. Argesian army will protect Bravo Secondary. It has been done. In light of the conflict brewing with the FTP, I've managed to make a deal with Oleg McKay, whose unit from the Argesian army will protect our school. I assure you that your children will be safe. I hope this helps to convince you not to take your children out of school. This sounds a bit drastic. The National Army seems to have the situation under control. I appreciate the effort, Principal Bart, but I'm not convinced that having a unit of Argesian soldiers around the school is a good idea. So this is why Oleg and Ravan met at the school. They had some kind of protection deal going on. Sounds extremely dumb to me. This may prove to be very valuable indeed. The only thing missing is a questionable reason for Ravan having chosen to do it. I'm sure that this won't draw more attention to the school. I assure you it will be fine, Yelena. I would never do anything to endanger my pupils. They are as safe as they can be at my school. Thank you, Mr. Bart. I appreciate your efforts to keep Bravo Secondary safe. Said my parents were from Hillberry, and it is the city I grew up in. They would appreciate Elizabeth Levine's work very much, and the values for which she stands. Delacroix further announced that she will support Elizabeth's campaign with funding and marketing. The party stands by the Levine family. We are particularly proud of Maxwell Levine's efforts as a lawyer in Hillberry, as well as Karen Levine's great endeavors as a psychological counselor. The party supports Karen Levine's work directly via state funding. Elizabeth, her husband Mike, and her two beautiful children are a true treasure for this town and the whole nation. I bet Raban has no idea about Karen's entanglements with the party, nor has any one of his followers. We should let them know, maybe. We need a little more backing if we truly are trying to put the blame on Karen here. Our culture must be preserved. We believe that this is only possible if we keep immigration and other potentially disrupting factors to a minimum and spare our children as well as our community from threats like these. We therefore believe it is important to close the Argesian border to prevent any further immigration. traditional family as a unit is one of the most meaningful constructions of our society, and it is tremendously important to preserve and protect it in any possible way. Elizabeth Levine stands for this in particular and holds this value very dearly, especially being a mother herself. It goes without saying that same-sex marriage is unnatural and should be forbidden by law. We also believe that so-called Planned Parenthood is child murder and should be treated as such. Let's fight together to stop this lunacy. Wow. Wow. Can I target her instead? Education is one of the most important factors for development of society as a whole. We support schools, teachers, and innovative ways of education, such as homeschooling and alternative schools. Of course you do. Medium and small-sized businesses are the heart of Hillberry and the backbone of our economy. We work very hard to support our local businesses by offering funding opportunities and real estate for rent, especially for local businesses and shops. Elizabeth was born and grew up in Hillberry. Her family has been living in this beautiful town for many generations, giving her an expertise and personal insight on local issues that few can compare. Elizabeth spent some time outside Hillberry while studying law in Bonton from 1975 to 1981. She graduated with honors and soon after decided to move back to her beloved hometown. That's something that didn't get cleaned up. Elizabeth then started doing community work for Hillberry, which she is still involved with to date. She volunteered and was very active in the National Cancer Society, raising funds and helping cancer survivors in an extraordinarily devoted way. Instead of going into corporate law like most lawyers, she dedicated herself to public service and worked as a prosecutor for Hillberry City Council. Her passion for law and order is ongoing. As a devoted family person, Elizabeth has 2 children, her daughter Karen Levine, who is very successful as a psychological counselor in Bonton, and her son Maxwell Levine, who is a well-known lawyer in Hillberry. That I stand with you, Raban. I could not help but notice that you seem under a lot of fire from all sides most recently. Even some of your most trusted followers are turning their backs on you, but not me. You have been through some dark times before, as you have trusted me with. Remember how you told me that Ilya got your parents Anastasia and Milovan in deep trouble, and you saw no way out? And here you stand nonetheless, because you have pulled through. I will see what I can uncover to aid you. You'll hear back from me soon. Dear Mrs. Levine Vard, it has been brought to our attention that your patient number NA32694 has been involved in a criminal case. Unfortunately, she has been shot on the run, and the case is now being investigated thoroughly. As you know, a situation like this requires a report by the therapeutic counselor who treated her. We therefore kindly ask you to hand in your report on Mrs. Maternova by the end of the day. Please be informed that this report is highly important for the case and will be used in court. The Rehab Council is obliged to inform you that all of your statements have to be as accurate as possible, and that you are obliged to answer all questions you may be asked in court truthfully. Yours sincerely, Esther Vega, Rehab Council Administration, 110th Street, Boston, not Boston. One-way trans-regional train ticket. He is making a run for it seems. Couldn't blame him. Why, we could, of course. Maybe he'd consider staying if the news would turn out to be against his liking. Save Parties. We need to stand up and resist. We are the Pargesian people. Our government is corrupt. The Cassard regime was never interested in protecting the freedom of the Pargesian people. More and more opponents of our government have been arrested, and we have to stop watching and start acting. The Pargesian people will no longer sit and watch their country being taken away from them. We have to start resistance against Damien Cassard and his authoritarian administration. Since the forces of true Parges have been getting more and more violent and inciting unrest and bloody protests, we would like to address them personally in an open letter. Dear members of the FTP, we are all Pargesians. We all love Parges. We all want change and freedom for our country and citizens. We have the same goals and the same dreams, so why are we fighting? Cassard and the corrupt government are laughing up their sleeves at us, not even being able to form a stable resistance against them. Please let us stand as together in unity and resist the government peacefully. We organized a new collection of signatures from the Pargesian people in order to request a new referendum against our current government administration. For the pen is mightier than the sword, and violent wars will only be left with losers on both sides. We urge you to stand beside us, not against us. Unfortunately, we have lost many members to the newly formed forces of true Parges, who have been increasingly criticizing our way of resistance against Cassard and his regime. We ask you to bear with us, and please do not let such quarrels tear us apart. We are only strong if we stick together and act as a group, and we will not be able to cause true change if we let our differences divide us. We are all Pargesians, and we all have the same goals. Let us remain peaceful, bold, and strong. There have been many internal discussions lately about how to handle future protests and what alternative means we have to voice our dissatisfaction with the current government and their actions. We would like to emphasize that the initiative Save Parges is and will remain peaceful. Some of you are very discontent with how we have been handling protests and say that collecting signatures is not enough to fight a corrupt regime. But we do not want to get involved in illegal activities and believe that our voices are our strongest weapons. In our first meeting, we decided to arrange a peaceful protest march against the newly installed president, Damien Cassard. He is not our president and was not elected democratically. We demand new elections. Please join us on February 15th, 2004 in Triplet. The starting point will be the King Mirren statue, and we will march down Triplet Avenue up to Lake Pontevin. Welcome, Captain Ilya Janeway. Please enter your password here. since the government has recently been actively trying to silence supporters of the initiative Safe Barges and try to draw connections between us and violent crimes, we have switched to a closed message board that only members with special login data can. Please contact Anastasia Bart if you would like to receive access to our messaging board. Hey, that's it. Thread Family Communication. Only visible for the following members: Mila von Vart, Anastasia Vart, von Vart, Captain Ilya Janeway. Dear family, your father and I decided to use this message board for our family communication since we do not believe our telephone is safe anymore. More and more members of our community have been disappearing recently. We need to be as cautious as possible. Please use the message board as a primary channel from now, especially if you mention other family members or places where we meet. This is an old abandoned board of an initiative we took part in some time ago. It should be secure and unknown to authorities. Holy moly, I didn't expect that, Mom. You two were revolutionaries? You never mentioned a thing. It's quite bad, yeah, but do you think it's necessary to be this cautious? They weren't members of the FTP, were they? Raban openly criticizes Kassar all the time. I doubt we can gain any benefit from knowing his parents may have done the same thing. Please, Ilya, this was a peaceful resistance movement, not that revolutionary. Your father thinks it's safer to communicate here, as they might wiretap our phone. What is up with that stupid pseudonym of yours, by the way? Is that the one you use in those chatter rooms all day? It's called a chat room, Mother. Please, just do us a favor and stick to this message board, Ilya. And for God's sake, please pick a secure password you can remember. Raban, we would like to invite you over for Uncle Simos' birthday next week. It would be great if you could join us. Very well, I'll join you in the evening after rugby. By the way, Uncle Simos wanted to invite Oleg McKay. Just because his family lives next door doesn't mean we have to show hospitality to followers of the Kassar regime. It's too much of a risk. You're right, honey. We cannot afford to be careless here. I will talk Simos out of it. It seems they were once literally closer than we thought. Mom, Dad, Oleg is a good guy. The world is not simply black and white. He may be a soldier in the army, but he wouldn't be dangerous. I think he should be. It's a shame Kassar has managed to drive a wedge between people in our community. Sorry, son, I just don't think it's a good idea, especially not putting him next to my elderly brother, who talks very bluntly about hating Kassar and his followers. McKay has always been overly patriotic. The police are already beginning these Gestapo-style observations, and it is scaring the hell out of me. But maybe we should give him a chance. I don't want to join the stupid war. I just got a note telling me to report for duty by next week. I was drafted. They're coming to take me if I don't report in. What am I going to do? I do not want to join this goddamn war in this horrible army. Please don't panic, Ilya. We are going to take care of this. There must be something we can do. Raban, you know Oleg McKay well. Is there a chance you can talk to him about this? I heard he's in charge of the unit stationed here. Can he help Ilya to get out of this? I will see what I can do. I try not to worry too much, Ilya. I am going to talk to Oleg and get you exempted from service. It might cost me a few favors and take some time, but I will get you out, I promise. He's a reasonable man. But first I need you to go report in anyway. Don't give them a reason to arrest you. That will only make things much harder. Yes, okay, thank you. The army of Barges forcefully recruited a lot of men into their ranks when the conflict with the FTP erupted anew. Seems Ilya has been no exception to it. This may well be the true reason Raban made that protection deal with Oleg, don't you think? Whether true or not, we could let everyone know. Good, we have a narrative again. Cannot spread it yet, though. Not before Raban publishes his article. Keep searching around. Mom, they took them. They sent soldiers to our home. It was so horrible. They started hitting Dad and yelled that this was his punishment. Mom tried to fight them off, and then they started hitting her too. These bastards just took them away, and now they are gone, Raban. What should we do? You have to help us. Raban, please check your goddamn messages for F's sake. Truly horrible. Then again, as a punishment for what? Maybe they deserved it after all. Private Ilyavart, 1st Infantry Division Prava. 2010 attempts to flee from service, punished. Discharged by local command. And his parents were kidnapped as a punishment. Poor Ilya. Live with such a burden. There's a powerful narrative in that. Raban published his article. The time to strike back has come. You can go on searching for more material to create narratives from, though. Please, take your time. When ready, strike Raban Vard as hard as you can. We need to make this count. I like getting real quick. I'm drinking so much caffeine.
That's right, the wages of 50. Yep.
Ensuring that it will continue to happen, I'm going to pour myself some water. Remind me, how did that wages thing start? Like as a meme among us? Well, it was wages of something. Like if I remember right, we were playing Fortune Street, or at least that's the earliest I remember. It was like, such are the wages of free patience, stupidity.
I think I was using the wages of caffeine years and years ago.
Oh.
As on the wages of sin.
Right.
But more to do.
And then Nate responded with something like $10.50 an hour.
not that bad, actually. Yeah, in comparison to 7.95 for 5 days, 300 bacon pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Which is more than 5.15, but it's been like decade-ish since that last boost. Boy.
The big conspiracy you should know about. Blaine and Cassart are conspiring against us.
It looks more like you're making out.
Yeah, considering the context, that strikes me as a little bit homophobic.
Blaine and Cassart are secretly dating.
The rumors that I married my wife only to get out of the refugee camp are both extremely insulting and untrue. They are meant to draw your attention away from something way more important than my personal life. The important question should be, why is the focus of attention not on one of the most pressing and obvious issues? Is it not curious that during a national crisis like this, while Ponton is threatened by terrorists, the Prime Minister is leaving the country? Is it not weird that he is meeting Cassart, who is throwing him a military parade party under the guise of a negotiation meeting? The answer is that this is bullshit. Negotiation is not what the national government wants. They want power. Blaine and Cassart want to control our minds by secretly conspiring against the people of Arges. Since this is what the meeting really shows, and what you should really be worried about, I hereby call for a protest in front of the presidential palace in Triflet. Let's show these traitors to the people what we think.
Stand up, Simon. Yelling. Yeah. To that.
That one feels a little strong, at least as far as undermining Raban goes.
I'll undermine your dog. Bark? More like work, am I right?
Alias train leaves before I will have control again. So we shall see what impact this has. It's all spread and done. The fact that Raban made the deal to help his brother decreased the impact our narrative had. Good work, but not good enough. Raban is still around, and he still has a loyal follower base. So, what absurdities does he dare to claim this time?
He's really got a point about the Prime Minister wandering off in a time of crisis, leaving catching in a handful of tears, accessing after law enforcement chief.
You sold the Prava secondary shelter to the Pargesian army? How could you do such a thing? You endangered the lives of those kids. Don't you see how they are manipulating you? This is nothing but a lie spread by the government to bring me down. That lousy deal was a mistake. You are a hero, Ravan. Your traitor of a brother does not deserve your help. I appreciate your loyalty, but I will not let you insult my brother. I can't believe Ilya was part of the Pargesian army. How could he betray us all like that? And how could you have made that lousy deal just to save such a traitor? I had my reasons. I do not regret my decisions. The national government kills. They killed their own people and our people to distract us all from the truth. They have fabricated yet another story about me to distract you from the really important truths. If you don't believe me, here's another truth for you. I used to be a teacher in Prague, a beautiful small town by the mountains of Ria. My school was destroyed by troops of the nation. I have never gotten over this horrible incident, and it broke my heart more than anything else that has ever happened. The national government ordered the shelling of Prava Secondary. They killed those students, not me. They killed those students, not me. They destroyed everything I loved in my hometown. This is what your government does to the innocent, to the weak. He's blaming the nation for his own fault. Our own army attacking a school, we're the peacekeepers. It's high time to turn things around. This has to end now. We cannot let these preposterous lies stand. We will destroy Ravanward. You will. Now. Get me something that shows beyond any doubt the nation isn't the one to blame here. David, your loyalty to me is beyond any limits. You have been with me from the start. The people's voice would not nearly have become what it is had you not been there. You're more than a fan, you're a true friend. And I'm tired. I've been writing furiously all day to this point, and look what I've done. Nowhere. Everything around me is falling apart. I have no one left. Even my followers are turning their backs on me. It's over. It has to end. I want it to end. Thank you. Standing with me. David Johns again. You had mentioned him before. Regardless, it doesn't matter what role he had in people's voice. What matters is only the destruction of Ravan. Going to be key to just blowing this whole thing away.
I like how your evil advisor there is putting blinders on herself.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing you're somewhere.
He's already at the central station. He really is going to follow through on his plan then. So if you want to try and do anything about that, better hurry up. And he is gone. Ilya is out of the equation. Though I am not sure whether that will make our life easier or harder. I cannot believe that you published that article without consulting me. What were you thinking? Why would you do that? I'm laboring away for 2 days, and now this. Sorry, brother, but I wanted to try and cheer you up. You've been so stressed and sad lately, and since you helped me get out of the Pargesian army, I wanted to do something for you, too. I just thought this story might bring you some well-deserved praise, especially with all the controversy that was thrown our way because of the refugee camp articles. You straight up lying to make me feel better will not change this. We are the guardians of the truth, and the truth hurts. You had no right to publish that story. I am not a hero. I don't see what the big deal is. People need to relate to you, understand that you aren't just another lunatic mouthpiece, to see that you have compassion, that you have experienced the atrocities firsthand that we write about every day. That's right, I lived them, not you. Seriously, Ilya, I can't believe you would do this to me. Now everyone in this camp will be looking at me like I was some kind of martyr. I even got a fan mail already by a guy named David Johns who called himself a huge fan of mine. I don't want that kind of attention. I don't want fans. I just want to move on and forget this whole thing ever happened. I feel like I'm stating the obvious, but can you just take it down if it bothers you so much? No, it's garnered too many hits and it has been passed around across the nation. It's spreading like a cancer, a disease. Everyone is reading it, and now I'm going to have to answer a lot of questions about it. I'm truly sorry, Raban. It was supposed to be a surprise, a morale boost. I don't think we were able to get it. Wait, what exactly did Ilya lie about regarding his brother? Despite this, he has profited a great deal from being considered a hero. Von Vart is a sad joke, bereft of moral standards. He is going down. From David Johns to Raban Vart. Subject, not your friend. Raban, it's a lie. It's all a lie. I'm not your friend. I've never been. I can't fully explain it at this time. I've only been here recently. I've just been informed that you're about to claim the nation bombed your school. You have no idea how right you are. I realized this may be my last chance of getting out of this mess, so I got my hands on some internal documents for you. Don't really have enough of a secondary. It's all in there. I will try to get you more. Keep an eye on new Percolese documents. For now, I must keep fighting them. They will now come to me. Hit them as hard as you can. What? How does this person leak confidential information to Raban Vart? This is very troubling news. I'm not aware of any one of our own people with this name, though. I'll turn this David Johns into a target person. You may want to investigate if you so desire. How does it should? Implying that she knows it's a woman, possibly? Because otherwise, why would she use why would she use a gendered pronoun that does not match the gender of the name of the person in question? It's like that episode of Deuce Out. Remember, though, that Raban Vart remains the primary target. Get us something to obliterate him with. Operation Calvary. This document describes an incident in which the National Army bombarded a Pergesian school. The Army of the Nation had been well aware of the fact that many students and teachers were in the building at this time. The school had been used as a bomb shelter for many weeks. On December 6, 2010, national troops started shelling the school, leaving it completely destroyed. Afterwards, the ruins were searched by military with the help of civilians looking for their children. Soldiers Oleg Bakay and Alexander Petrovich were the only survivors on the site of the Pergesian army and were secured from the shelter. There was only one known civilian survivor whom the Pergesian soldiers had managed to save, but was still seriously injured. The school's principal, Raban Vart, had been found wounded and retrieved from the ruins. Raban Vart was met with extreme aversion and had to be protected from them by the army. report reveals that the order to open fire had been given by a supreme command within the government of the nation, who had stated that the school was occupied by terrorist group Forces of True Parties. This turned out to be untrue, since there were only civilians and Pargesian army soldiers on site. This shelling was a serious violation of international law and human rights by the army of the nation. That is how he ended up with us, yes. The only civilian. I don't see any hint to his students there. I thought he had rescued a lot of his students. Here comes his article. We must end this. Give me a narrative. Did you get your claw stuck in my chair? Really, I'm trying to help you. Died in the school bombing on Monday. I can barely type this message as my hands shake as I try to comprehend that my little girl is gone. My head is slapping, my stomach is wrenching as I try to process my grief. I just want to find the ones responsible for the attack, look them in the eye, and make them know just a fraction of the pain that I need to know what happened, and I also need to know why it happened. Also, how is it that Rabban Vart was the only survivor? Can someone please explain that to me? Because right now I'm having a real hard time. Dear Mr. Busey, I understand your feelings and your outrage, and I cannot emphasize enough how sorry I am for your loss. I'm answering on account of my brother, who is still hospitalized and in shock about what has happened. Please take into account that he tried everything in his power to protect all pupils of the secondary. Nonetheless, he can't help but blame himself for what has happened. He feels the utmost sympathy for each and every one who lost a child or other family. But it was not his fault that the FTP attacked the school. Are you kidding me? Mr. Vard was the one who attracted the attention of the FTP by hiring soldiers of the Pargesian army to defend Brava Secondary. This is why the FTP started the shelling. He rightly blames himself for what has happened because he is the one to effing blame. I cannot believe I cannot believe you have the gall to come here and defend him. My daughter is also gone. Did all that he could? How could not one single child survive, huh? How dare you claim that your brother is not responsible for this? While I did not lose any family members in the bombing, I have to agree with the people here. You have no right to come in here and defend Rahman when he, as principal and therefore the head of the school, called the armed forces to our school. Have you no shame? To give you an idea of what he has done, here's the list they published of people who died that day, a majority of whom were pupils aged 11 to 15. Yep, Vodka Bouquet was killed in the bombing. Dear citizens of Brava, I understand your concerns and I wish to express my sincere condolences. It is a natural reaction to this truly horrific situation to seek answers for what has happened. If you really want to hold somebody accountable, it should be the FTP who conducted these bombings. Blame our government for not protecting us. Blame soldiers of the nation for failing just as much. But please do not blame one of us. Do not blame the principal who has done everything he can to help these children, to support parents, to save people. As citizens of Brava, we should stick together in difficult times instead of throwing stones at each other. Please don't make this terrible war get the best of you. please let me tell you that I am terribly heartbroken that all my pupils died in the bombing of Prague Secondary. I decided to speak here not because I am trying to defend myself. Instead, I discovered a very important fact that the citizens of Prague need to know about. Something that is highly crucial to seeing the bigger picture of this whole goddamn war. The bomb that hit Prague Secondary was a GPB in 300. I know these bombs, and they are not the kind of weapons that the FDP usually deals with. These bombs are owned primarily by the Pargesian army. This was not the FDP. This attack was executed by the army, and therefore the government itself. Are you for real, Vart? You come barging in here with what is barely a half-assed apology, and then start spewing conspiracy theories. Our children died. You didn't protect them when they needed someone. That was your job. Now my job is to make sure you don't step foot in our beautiful town again. I will make sure that everyone knows the kind of man you are, Bart. An insensitive, cowardly child murderer. I didn't murder your children, the government did. It makes lots of sense. Doesn't anyone here even care about the facts? What are you still doing here? To hell with your so-called facts. I agree with Mrs. Toscola. You were a child murderer who deserves to be shot. We want you out, Principal Bart. My brother has done nothing wrong. He dedicated his life to this school, to his pupils, and this is how you thank him. He did everything he could to try and save them. Ilya, the fact that you are defending your brother's abhorrent actions only makes you an accomplice in our eyes. You should both leave the country and never come back. We just might. Thank you for nothing, citizens of Prague. That's a weird image.
So basically, it was a bomb connection.
Yes. To be clear, yes, it is true that I invited soldiers of the Pargesian army to my school. But this fact was taken entirely out of context in order to fabricate a news story aiming to destroy me. The only reason I hired the Pargesian army was to protect Brava Second. If you don't believe me that the national government are preposterous liars, here's another truth for you. My school was not bombed by troops of the Pargesian army at all. The national government ordered the shelling of Brava Secondary and blamed Pargesian soldiers because they wanted to prove to the media that they were needed in Parges to protect the Pargesian people. Instead, they destroyed everything I loved in my hometown. This is what your government does to the innocent, to the weak. This is why I shall, from now on, call them national murderers. This man, this fraud, claimed he saved the students despite... He should have known. He should have known a long time ago. This is what Ilya must have lied about for him. All these lies make me sick. But there is a silver lining. This is all we need. No need to construct a narrative. This itself will be his undoing. Bring him down. Bring him down! Something happening on Karen's PC. It could be important. You may want to investigate before you spread the narrative. Psychological report, final report. I am Karen Levine Bart and have been working for Ponton Rehab Council as clinical psychologist since February 2010. My specialist field is psychological trauma. Full details of my qualifications entitling me to give expert opinion and evidence will be provided separately by my employer, Ponton Rehab Council. I have known and treated Mrs. Maternova for approximately 2 years after she had been diagnosed with PTSD as a result of her experiences and involvement in the Pargesian peacekeeping mission in 2011. She had been dishonorably discharged from the Army of the Nation after serving for 6 years and earning a bravery medal for saving lives. The reason for her final dischargement had been absence without official leave. To date, the patient had never made a clear statement about the reasons for her disobedience during her time in the Army. Let's see where this is going. In most of our sessions, Mrs. Maternova had been noticeably distant and was very difficult to encourage in terms of talking about any of her issues. The patient often answered questions dismissively, unresponsively, and was even aggressive if challenged too firmly. The patient had continuously been struggling with PTSD in the past few weeks, as well as not being able to cope with everyday chores such as working with the needs of her son. Furthermore, she was tackling money problems, which had put a large pressure on her as a single mother. This had caused her physical and mental condition to increasingly deteriorate, and participation in therapy sessions was even more difficult to encourage than usual. The patient had been even more distanced and unapproachable in the past few weeks before the events known as the bombings. I was aware that something was up with Mrs. Maternova, and she had seemed unusually stressed. There had been a scheduled psychotherapy appointment at 10:30 a.m. on Friday, April 14, 2017. The patient did not attend this appointment and had previously tried to postpone it. I have no reason to believe that the patient actually is responsible for the bombings, since no intention was mentioned and there is no evidence known to me whatsoever that is pointing to her being the perpetrator. However, I am also not able to provide an alibi or anything else that would prove Mrs. Maternova's innocence. As her psychotherapist, I can say that I would not be able to preclude the possibility that Mrs. Maternova would be capable of such a crime. On the other hand, I cannot confirm this with certainty. Interesting indeed. One could say that Karen connected Quantum Bombing's perpetrator. As soon as these connections become evident, Ramon's reputation may greatly suffer. This could be his place to avoid. It's a risk. Maybe one worth pursuing. What fault? I'm David, freethinker, philosopher, coffee drinker. Better watch out, we are fighting the fake news. What kind of odd call sign is that? It's not one of our agents, is it? This is the big riot in front of the Pargesian Palace in Tripleth? Lamau! Thank God the government has finally increased the surveillance cams at Freedom Plaza. I feel much safer there now. You actually believe your own bullshit that you post every day? Cheers to the soldiers of the nation who risk their lives every day protecting Guardians. They are good people. Unpopular opinion, Hazard would not be able to manage his country without the great work that Prime Minister Plain has been doing in Guardians. Bernhard, owner of the People's Voice, is a terrible, hateful immigrant who has overstayed his welcome here in the nation. Captain Dormouse, since when are you so interested in politics? People's Voice is designed to manipulate the people of Parges. Don't believe what they write. Voices of true Parges are dangerous terrorists. They need to be stopped. Parges is a mess. They can be thankful that the Army of the Nation is out there. Investigator, I like that title. I could tell you about my new job, but then I'd have to make you disappear. Haha. not the other guy. Really? He used a Twitter profile, like, he made his Twitter-esque handle the same as his agent name? Like in the Office database? All of that is protected. Assignment, influencer, persona. So give me their identity so I can find them and make sure they don't undermine our work any longer. Probably not.
I mean, never.
You gotta be kidding me, right? Except, of course, you're not. It is one of our own people, then. Fortunately, as an influencer persona, I'm afraid David Johns isn't simply one person. Those personas are controlled by different real persons in our services. Even I cannot tell you who is controlling them at this time. You must help find the traitor behind David Johns. Give me their real name. Investigator, you know you've been blabbering about your new job controlling David Johns and the others, despite us telling you explicitly not to do so. If you believe us to be joking, be advised we are not. In fact, we can easily make you disappear, as you put it, or other people. Meanwhile, we are keeping a protecting eye on you and your father. You may thank us later. Time to start taking this job opportunity we gave you very seriously. Don't mess up. Hey, Dad. Hey, Iris, what's up? How are you, Dad? Is everything fine? Sure. Sure. Billy has been a bit annoying recently, but you know what he's like. Continuously trying to find a way into that old closet because he knows exactly where the beef jerky is. That dog really manages to drive me incredibly insane sometimes. But when he lies beside me on the couch in the evenings, I just can't help but at least he keeps me company. Dad, I just wanted you to promise me that you'll always be very careful. Look after yourself. And Billy. Sweetie, you've been behaving a bit strange lately. Is anything wrong? I'm not as good as your mom used to be at these things, but you know I'm always here for you. Yes, I know. We'd love for you to come and visit us again soon, you know. Yes, I know that too. I'm sorry, Dad. I won't be able to do that right now. I'm super swamped with work. I'm busy being, I understand. I'll visit you as soon as possible, though, I promise. After all, I can't let Billy eat all the beef jerky. You're just like your mom, Iris Young. I'll talk to you soon, Dad. Have a good night, sweetie. Iris Young, that's actually the name of one of Pete's daughters.
No.
Now, if the dad had been named Reed and not Peter, that would have been weird. That would have been a strange coincidence. Huh. Concerned one's profile. Look up web search Abraham Goldfels, Juliet Carrington, Nina Maternova, Cassandra Watergate. I think we're working on embalming stuff. Access denied. This document is encrypted. Could tell you, but you will need to make this encryption. Orwell probably has a way of suppressing that.
On a real server? That's what's logging logging connection attempts. Yeah. Bro, that's a busted machine problem. Can't even successfully log in.
Unlikely, but take a look at Blabber. You need to see this. I knew it from the start. This ignorant, miserable bunch. There are still far too many people standing by the people's voice. We have failed. This is it. We failed, plain and simple. Our efforts are for naught. The riots before the presidential palace rage on unchecked. All they can do is hope for... What? Vart started an announcement. I fear for the worst. This is the end, Agent. Truth. What do you claim to know about the truth? Are you a Blabberbot, are you a real person? Are you a liar? Am I a liar? I was always wondering whether you folks will ever learn that the truth is not black and white. Don't you guys get it? Raban has been fighting these rumors about him all day. This is a giant shitstorm incited by the goddamn national government. They're trying to get rid of him and TPV. Let's show them that they will not succeed. No Pargesian hero is bullshit. I've been reading your blog ever since day one when you wrote about your arduous journey to the nation. You were my heroes. I'm deeply disappointed in who you turned out to be. Why did I ever trust you, Raban Bart? I'm deeply sorry that you feel that way. I beg you to keep in mind that false information is being spread about me all over the internet and that they are trying to bring us down. Please do not let them succeed. This is my last announcement. Thank you to those of my readers who stuck with me.
My dear followers, those of you who still remain, the story that has finally been spread by the despicable government mouthpiece, it is true. All of it. I never saved those children. Because I was too afraid. Because I ran for my life, eager of saving it before theirs. Here I now am, alive, and they aren't. I had so long forgotten about it, and now it's shaking me to my core. I believed that if I only tried hard enough, I could change things. That I could make things better for my people at home in Parges. I believed I could fight against the corrupt, evil, rotten politicians longing for power at the people's expense. I believed I could free my home country from these parasites and go back home. If only I twisted words long enough. We all need a reliable base on which our world is based. A truth. This was mine. But now I realize that I've been living a lie. Not only a lie that made you believe in me, but a lie that allowed me to forget who I actually was. A far too comfortable lie. Only one thing is worse. Knowing that even as I speak, you all continue. Carry on, fight on with all your fury, perpetuating that very lie endlessly, creating new truths based on fake claims put out there ages ago. What will become of this world when everybody has their own truth? What will be real, dependable? Everything will be nothing. Truth is dead. And I killed it that very day I was too afraid to speak up and correct a mistake. But no longer. This story has to end on my terms. There's hardly anything more concrete than a bullet. It creates a tangible, uncomfortable fact. The very thing needed for a resurrection of truth.
I'm not convinced that was necessary. Well, you happy, Ethelbert? Got rid of him.
I didn't expect that to be the end. I mean, Ampleford was saying it was the end, but I just misread proudly as probably, and that makes for a weird credit. Music, voices, and sound design probably supplied by.
That Galley. These poor sods have a test as garbage. Credit fixed Mary Otrand and Torben Ratzlaff.
Shampoo. It sounds like an inaccurate past tense conjugation of shampoo.
A questionable hair care product. Brought to you by the idiots responsible for Axe body spray. Why did anyone buy this garbage?
I need to let me resume from like just before that. Or will it just skip straight to the end? This seems legit. Oh, hey. Looks like you might be reading Animal Farm. Wrong.
Fun animal adjacent property. All professors are equal, but some have tenure. Get that from
Okay, maybe it's too late for me to do anything about it. I feel like I missed something. Like I chose poorly somewhere. What? Wrong cup? Oh,
You said chose poorly. Of course I gotta go to the carpenter joke.
well, and I don't think I can do anything about it without starting over, unfortunately. I think when I submitted that last bit to the influencer, that locked me in for this ending. Well, I will leave it as an exercise to everyone else. Leave y'all something to enjoy in your own playthroughs of this game.
Orwell's already a horrific weapon. The influencer is additional sickening arc of possesses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can't go after someone legally? Well, we can defame the crap out of them. Storm of sock puppets.
Alright. So, thanks for watching, everybody. It's a little early. A little earlier than I usually sign off, but it's close enough. No sense in starting anything new this close to 5. Uh, I'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern to continue 2 Point Hospital. And I should be starting something new Monday afternoon.
And I have 2 very stupid suggestions for that.
I remember one of them. I'm unsure of the second one, but I will confirm that with you offline. Let's see. Do I have anybody that I can raid right now? No channels that I am following are currently on.
Well, this Christmas Day, after they're meeting streamers, they're hanging out with families.
Indeed. So, thanks again for watching. Have a Merry Christmas, and I hope to see you all tomorrow night. Later, everybody.
Hey,